Hello everybody. In this video we'll try to understand some more interesting details about Krittika Nakshatra that are very frequently discussed in Vedic astrology literature. So basically the spark of fire is originated in the Ashwini Nakshatra as a spark of life. It's basically it's the spark of life that is originated in Ashwini Nakshatra, and this life is protected in Bharani Nakshatra. So Bharani Nakshatra is that cosmic womb where this nourishment is happening to the spark of life. It's a controlled nourishment, very sensitive and harmonious nourishment that's happened in the Bharani Nakshatra. Thereby the life is continued. And now in the Krittika Nakshatra, it's the segregation process. It's the process of cutting or separating so that the universe has some definition. If everything is uniform and it's a kind of infinite uniform life form that's in Bharani, then if there is no evolution thereafter, then even the universe would not have any meaning at all. Now in the Krittika Nakshatra we have the idea of self, we have the idea of identity. When you're segregating something from others, that segregated thing definitely gets some identity automatically. So in the Krittika Nakshatra, this whole universe is segregated, like it's the seed of segregation. It's not the complete segregation I'm talking about. It's just the seed of segregation that happened in the Krittika Nakshatra. Like this must be the core and this must be the boundary, or this particular part in future it would go to some, it would be defined as some galaxy. This part would be defined as some other galaxy. This kind of identity, the idea of identity is actually, it has got its seed in Krittika Nakshatra. So that's why Krittika is that segregation fire. So basically Krittika's energy is required. Krittika's energy is required for the differentiation. And now, so Krittika is a process. It's a process of differentiation. It's the energy of differentiation. So Krittika is basically that cosmic fire of separation that is separating the symmetrical unlimited life form that has some kind of abstract form in the Bharani Nakshatra. So which is actually of course a spark of life initiated in the Ashwini Nakshatra. So totally this Krittika is what making this whole uniform energy into some kind of its by introducing its differentiation. So the universe has some kind of identity. The different things present in the universe have, they have some identity just because of Krittika's energy. So that identity, the idea of identity, the idea of self-expression is started in the Krittika Nakshatra. That's why sun is the ruler. So in this energy of differentiation that is in Krittika, in this energy of differentiation, that is the energy of separation, that is a fire of separation, you can say, how Jupiter feels. That's what we're going to discuss. So Jupiter is a planet of wisdom, it's a planet of expansion, planet of morality, is a planet of knowledge, and it's the planet of rules. So how Jupiter would feel here? So up to Bharani, life existed as one uniform undivided field. It's an uniform potential. There is no definition in the Bharani Nakshatra. The whole life form is a kind of it's a uniform undivided field. So there is no particular definition that you can say this part is this part is this part is different from that part. There's nothing in the Bharani Nakshatra. Then comes this Krittika Nakshatra, the fire is ignited. What is this fire? This fire is not a destructive fire at all. This fire has some meaning. This fire has a divine meaning. This fire separates that inner from outer, a light from shadow. It separates self from non-self. It's the divine segregation that's happening in the Kritika energy. It's not a destructive fire at all. You should understand this. The Kritika's fire is not at all destructive fire. This fire creates some identity, right? So Kritika says you're this, you're that. And that segregation is Kritika. So this nature, the nature of fire, that is the Agni, we say in Vedic astrology, in Vedas also, Agni is given lot of importance and lot of respect. So this Agni, basically, it knows the difference. It burns whatever is not required, so that whatever is present has got some identity, right? It's a kind of messenger, you can feel. This Agni is a kind of messenger. So Kritika's fire is not at all a destructive fire. It is the fire of cognition, we can say. It allows individual recognition within this cosmic unity. And that fire has to be, it has to be, respected. That's it. And Jupiter, how Jupiter feels in this world of Kritika. Jupiter is generally speaking, it is the principle of unity through wisdom. Jupiter, the planet, means it is even see the Jupiter. Sorry. So Jupiter is the principle of what is the principle of Jupiter? Jupiter likes unity through wisdom. It's not just the unity that Jupiter likes. It's a unity through wisdom. And so it is the understanding that everything springs from the same source. Jupiter has that knowledge. And Jupiter's behavior, it's dharma, we say. Dharma is the behavior, is a fundamental behavior. If you see a snake, the snake's fundamental dharma, the fundamental behavior is to bite somebody, right? It has that poison, and whenever it bites somebody, it actually injects the poison into that person. That is the fundamental behavior of a snake. And a rat has its dharma, its fundamental behavior. A particular, every life form on the earth has its own dharma, has its own identity, has its own nature, right? So similar to that, what is Jupiter's dharma? What is Jupiter's nature? Jupiter's dharma is, it expands, it integrates, basically, it moralizes, it creates rules, it likes freedom. It finds order and meaning in diversity as well. So this fire, which is a dividing fire, it is in this particular world of Kritika, which is very much busy in separating the whole universal energy, is somewhat good in the view of Jupiter. So Jupiter feels good in some areas of Kritika, and it feels bad in some areas of Kritika. See, what happens when Jupiter is in the Kritika's world? Now Jupiter has one ideology, it has its own identity, ideology. Now Jupiter entered the world of Krittika Nakshatra. So how the environment initially, see, when you're going to a restaurant or a pub, or let's say you're entering a particular building, then you feel something, right? The moment you enter a particular temple or a church or anywhere you enter some place, you feel something out of it. So the moment Jupiter enters this particular, Jupiter is in Kritika's world, it feels a raw, fiery, a defining phase. Okay, this energy is defining everything. This Kritika is defining. It's a kind of judgmental. Kritika is a bit judgmental, right? So identity just being established. The identity creation in Kritika is also in the seed level, as we talked about. It is the first sun's nakshatra. Then how it can define is something completely, it cannot define completely. It's just the seed of separation. The fire is very fundamental fire that is separating, that has started separating this unlimited uniform field that is in the Bharani, right? So that uniform field in the Kritika is actually it's being separated by this Kritika's fire, and the separation is not at all complete, but the identity is just being established. When Jupiter is seeing or feeling this energy, it is feeling the energy of, okay, this is this, that is that. Okay, this here, everything is being separated. This is what I'm feeling here. So Jupiter feels that. So Jupiter may initially think, okay, this is all one divine family. Why it is separating it? Okay, but the separation is required. Jupiter learns that because Jupiter is also a very great learner. So philosophically, Jupiter may be disoriented here, because the Kritika energy is saying the uniformity, the unlimited uniformity is not a great idea. I am going to separate with my fire. I am going to give some identity to every part of this universe. That is my idea. That's Kritika is saying. But initially Jupiter may feel, okay, why this particular energy or this particular field is trying to define something. Everything is, of course, everything is one divine family. Why it is separating it all? So philosophically, initially it is disoriented. There's some part of the feeling of Jupiter I'm telling. So philosophically disoriented to some extent, but there are some other things that we need to discuss, which Jupiter understands and takes it as a knowledge. I will tell you that is the most important thing. So basically Kritika's fire here is separating. Jupiter's energy is a kind of, okay, let it be united. Why you are separating it all? And Kritika is trying to define some boundaries so that everything gets some identity. Then Jupiter thinks, why you are defining boundaries at all? Anyways, everything is fine, everything is unity. Then okay, let us see what else I can feel here. Jupiter thinks that way. So Kritika's fire, when you're defining something, when you're segregating something from all the remaining thing, that something can get some self-expression. That self-expression is nothing but the ego. Everybody gets some ego. I am this, I am that. So this particular ego is developed here in the Kritika's nakshatra. That's why sun is actually represented by ego, right? So Jupiter thinks, why ego at all? Is the ego must be dissolved in the wisdom. The wisdom is the most important thing. Why this ego? Initially Jupiter feels this to some extent, and it's something like, initially Jupiter is disoriented. Jupiter feels like a teacher in a battlefield. Initially everything is being separated, segregated. It's something like you're this, you're that. This kind of behavior Jupiter observes. So, and also Jupiter may feel like explaining the morality, while creation is, of course, needs some borders and boundaries, but still in the morality level Jupiter may try to feel like everything is same, but why this whole segregation is happening? Then Jupiter doesn't hate Kritika, because he learns here that clarity is the foundation of wisdom. Jupiter now understand, okay, wisdom, I am talking about wisdom, but clarity. When you have clarity, then yes, that clarity will lead to your wisdom. So before you can understand all is one, you must first understand what is distinct from what. That is also needed. So in Kritika, Jupiter's universal compassion meets the fiery clarity. So Jupiter gets some clarity here. Jupiter gets that clarity here. So that's why Jupiter and Kritika people, they can understand, they can segregate the people very clearly, like this person has this kind of behavior, this person has this kind of behavior. That kind of analysis a Jupiter and Kritika people can do well. So because here Jupiter is learning that even differentiation is divine. Each form is of course facet of unity, but each form has its own identity. Everyone is not same in the world. So Jupiter in Kritika is a kind of master who learned who is what. You're getting it? So it's just understand, Kritika is a kind of classroom. It's a classroom, and Jupiter is of course a person having a lot of wisdom. Now Jupiter sits in the classroom, in the Kritika's classroom. Now Jupiter now understands, okay, dharma is important, but at the same time, the definition is more important, much more important. Then only we'll get the clarity, thereby we can define the dharma later. So before the cosmic law, there must be categories of being. That categories is very much important. Then only we can define some cosmic law. Without segregation, without identification, how can you define rules and laws? Jupiter learns this. So before this morality and moral order, there must be identity and relationship. When you have some identity, when different parts of the universe have some identity, then yes, we thereby we can define the moral order. By this identity and relationship between different parts of the universe, by observing those relationships, then yes, I can define some kind of morality. So Kritika provides that structure through separation. Kritika's fire is not a destructive fire, it's a defining fire. So Jupiter then, after seeing this identity, then Jupiter provides meaning through this identity. So Jupiter learns here. Jupiter learns who is what. That's why I am saying, if you have Jupiter and Kritika, then you are very good at identifying the people. This person behaves like this. Or by observing the behavior of a person, you can understand what is that person actually. So Jupiter and Kritika is a kind of a person having wisdom but still learns something great in the life, right? So Jupiter and Kritika learns the grammar of this existence, you can say. Grammar of this existence, right? Of course, Jupiter would be a very good person in the poetry. Let us say there's a person who is very good at poetry, but if he learns the nouns and verbs very, very clearly, with crystal clarity, if this person learns nouns and verbs, his poetry would be in some other level, in a greater level. So that is what Jupiter and Kritika is. So Jupiter and Kritika learns the grammar of existence, I would say. Learns who is what. And of course, Jupiter is not completely comfortable because Jupiter doesn't like those boundaries thing, and also this kind of always segregation, identification, this kind of, right? So Jupiter's behavior of expansion is not complete here. It cannot completely expand, it cannot show its expansiveness completely here, because the boundaries restrict him, because Kritika has that boundaries. So his wisdom is a kind of, it's not a kind of universal great wisdom. The wisdom is boxed with categories, right? So his morality here, even morality feels, you if you see the Jupiter's morality in Kritika, it's very much judgmental, because he has this morality like this is right, this is wrong, this kind of, you know uh, is kind of segregation, because by segregation energy Jupiter feels that, okay, I need to define some rules for this part of the section, and I need to define rules, a different rules for this part of the section. Very judgmental. Jupiter and Kritika feels this energy. So, but this discrimination energy of Jupiter sharpens in Kritika. I would say Jupiter and Kritika person is a kind of philosophical surgeon. At different levels it acts in different ways, but Jupiter and Kritika in a normal way, they are able to understand who is what, who is thinking what. They can segregate, because they learned that segregation, the art of segregation, in the Kritika's world. And in a higher level it acts like a philosophical surgeon. It's the person can, the person having a very sharp discrimination, right? So it's a kind of, you can say Jupiter and Kritika is a lawgiver form of Brihaspati. It's not a kind of sage anymore here. So Jupiter in Kritika is a philosophical surgeon, is a person who differentiates people very clearly, very systematically, very instantaneously. They can segregate the people. So this is what my understanding when Jupiter is in Kritika's world, right? So in the world of this differentiation, separation and identity creation, Jupiter feels, Jupiter who is having this wisdom, unity and expansion, his ideology is expansion, unity, freedom, wisdom, this is it. But here expansion is a bit limited, because Kritika is always, instead of expansive nature, segregation is the best idea, and instead of unity, segregation is the best idea. And use your wisdom how to segregate different sections of the people, how to segregate, right? So how to identify, oh, so and so person is that, this person is making faces like this, so he must be feeling this way. So understand this kind of knowledge, right? So that's what Kritika is saying to Jupiter. So that's why Jupiter and Kritika people, if you, let's say you were sitting just before a person having Jupiter and Kritika, then the person can see you and look at your face, and if you're putting some kind of expression, then by that expression the Jupiter and Kritika person can understand, okay, this person is feeling like this, so he must be having some kind of love on me, or he must be having some kind of hatred on me. So based on your expressions itself, they can segregate you in one of the categories that moment itself. That kind of ideology I can feel when Jupiter is in Krittika Nakshatra, right? So Bharani is the Om here, and Kritika is that segregation energy. The segregation energy, Jupiter learns the art of differentiating the people, and that is how Jupiter behaves in the Kritika's world. So thanks for watching this video.